Max Verstappen has his name linked to 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. Start thinking about who they are. But he denies that he is considering leaving Red Bull, which is bringing the updated car for this weekend in Jeddah. Aston Martin confirms Adrian Newey 100% focused on the 2026 car. Well, of course, right? Would he want to get his hands on this car? The saga resumes. Formula One, on Globo or banned? Forecasts. Predict extreme weather conditions for this weekend's Formula One in Saudi Arabia. And tomorrow there are already cars on the track, so Thursday's media day, and there are many news items for us to discuss here. So sit down, so we can talk about everything before it starts. Let's go. The four-time Formula One world champion Max Verstappen, who remains in the fight for the Drivers' Championship despite having equipment inferior to McLaren's, has seen his name in increasing speculation amid rumors that he would leave Red Bull at the end of this year. It's worth remembering that Verstappen has a contract with the energy team until 2028. But, as with everything in Formula One and the world of contracts, it depends, because there are exit clauses, and everyone says that starting from the 4th position in the Drivers' Championship, he is currently in 3rd, the restrictions are lifted, and he could walk away freely without paying anything. Next year, Red Bull faces a major challenge, having to build a power unit for the first time in partnership with Ford, under the new engine regulations that are coming, which adds to the uncertainties about their performance. A team that also lost the design wizard, Adrian Newey, to Aston Martin. Aston Martin is one of Verstappen's possible destinations, but not the only one. It's a great package with a new factory, Adrian Newey, and Honda engines. But there's more to this story, or as I mentioned in Tuesday's video, more to this than meets the eye, which I think is better, because Mercedes doesn't hide that they have been and perhaps still are after him. And in the same paddock where all these rumors are discussed, they also mentioned that the Mercedes power unit for the new regulations is expected to be, once again, very good as it was back in 2014. The other possibility, well, of course, would be Verstappen staying by. But you might be thinking Rodrigo mentioned 4 teams, right? Exactly. Because Ralf Schumacher brought another name to the table, and if you think about it, it makes some sense. Speaking on the German Sky Sports podcast, he said, don't forget about Alpine. That next year, they will come with Mercedes engines. There's a somewhat megalomaniac boss there who has already built a team, in this case, this winning team more than once, when it was Benetton and when it was Renault, and who usually doesn't think small. With all the power deficit of this engine, take a look at what Gasly did in Bahrain, only being overtaken by Verstappen on the last lap for 6th position. And it's true, at the end of last year, Alpine took a step forward and made this car perform better. And no one doubts that with a slightly better engine, because the Renault one is very bad, they could pose more of a challenge. And he then concluded by saying, this car can't be that bad. Add 30 extra horsepower to the Mercedes engine, and I don't want Jay to disregard this team either. So in my opinion, there are 4 teams that could be interesting for Verstappen. I talked about this on the Motorsport podcast that I recorded on Monday and aired on Tuesday, and I'll leave the link below in the description. I talked about this and several other current Formula One topics. An excellent chat. Red Bull brings this weekend a package of updates for the problematic and quite unpredictable RB21, their model for this year. Besides the kit, that is an aerodynamic package that the team takes to each circuit, and there are several kits, for example, zero downforce usually. For Monza and Baku, as different as they are, use something similar because Monza and Baku have tight corners and long high-speed sections. Monaco and Singapore the same. There could be Silverstone and Losail in Qatar as well. So going back besides this kit, now there are also updates. New parts. The central section, new pan of the floor that connects with the Venturi tunnels, should come with updates, in addition to changes in the arrangement of internal components like the radiator in the side pods to try to free up more space underneath. By freeing up space, you can move the ballast back and forth, giving more options to the driver and engineers to adjust the setup. Red Bull with the RB21, as well as Ferrari with the SF25 to some extent, have been facing a mismatch between aerodynamic performance and the non-aero dynamics of the vehicle. Red Bull believes this would be the first step in the search for the lost performance and will have 2 more rounds of updates, one in Miami and the other in Imola. And it's obvious that they also want to send a signal to Verstappen, as we discussed in the previous topic, the main name in the driver market who could, if they drop to 4th in the constructors, suddenly be free from contractual ties. Andy Caldwell, team principal of Aston Martin, says Adrian Newey is among us. Sounds biblical, doesn't it? Working since March 2nd at the factory and 100% focused on next year's car. He mentioned that Newey, who also has partner status at Aston Martin, who has no involvement in the AMR 25, this year's car for Alonso and Stroll. In 4 races plus 1 sprint, 10 points were scored, 0 for Alonso, 10 for Stroll. To think that 2 years ago, this car achieved 6 podiums with Alonso in the first 8 races, and many people imagined in 2023, Alonso would win a race with Aston Martin. Caldwell then, 𝘾𝙤𝙥 said, he joined in March. There was an adaptation period to get familiar with the regulations and the conceptual work we had already been doing in the previous months. There are some strict deadlines to meet for the disclosure of details about the monocoque, transmission details, and the cars are being prepared for the 2026 season, with the final test set for January. Preparing a car for this requires making decisions a bit in advance, and clearly everything is new and there is no continuity from 25 to 26. In other words, as the regulations change completely, nothing should be carried over from this car to next year's. And he concluded by saying, Newey has been very complimentary about the campus and has shown a positive attitude towards the wind tunnel we have and the way everything has been set up. He is, of course, encouraging us to improve the way we operate the wind tunnel and the CFD in simulations. This week, the saga resumed. Where is Formula One going in 2026? And when I say that, I mean the broadcasting rights. Will it stay on band? Will it go to Rede Globo? Will it go to another channel? Have you thought about it? According to a report by journalist Gabriel Vaquer, Rede Globo is once again in negotiations with FOM and Liberty Media to obtain the broadcasting rights, which would initially involve the partial airing of 10 to 14 races on free-to-air TV, with the rest on Sport V, Rede Globo's dedicated sports channel on cable TV. The return of a driver to Formula One in the person of Gabriel Bortoleto would commercially help make the operation viable, as there are more sponsors interested when there is a Brazilian on the track. The decision, still according to Gabriel Vaquer's report, they should happen in the first half of the year. And there are 2.5 months left until the end of the first half, so it's quite soon. Last year, you might remember the situation was on the brink of the last 8 races, not being broadcast in Brazil when the tension between band and Formula One escalated, apparently due to payment issues. Between terminating and continuing, the São Paulo broadcaster, in this case band, chose to continue and is still broadcasting Formula One in this 2025 season. When does their contract end? It is not known. If band is also at the table trying to renew, or if it's simply a matter of settling things with Rede Globo, cars and teams are expected to face extreme weather conditions in Saudi Arabia. The forecast predicts temperatures for the race time, which is at night there, of 35 degrees, which could lead cars and drivers to face over 60 on the asphalt, demanding a lot from the drivers and especially from the tires. The track is located between the desert and the sea because Jeddah is a coastal city. But anyway, Saudi Arabia, you know how it is. Desert all around, which implies wind, sand, and the humidity from the sea increases the thermal sensation. In other words, it's not easy for anyone. Tomorrow, there will already be cars on the track, and the schedule for this weekend is a breeze to memorize. 10:30, 2 in the afternoon, free practice 1, free practice 2, 10:30, 2 in the afternoon, free practice 3, qualifying, 2 in the afternoon. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and 15 minutes before, It's also easy to remember. Live, Matheus Ornelas narrating, and Rodrigo Ademir commenting. Another channel, always explaining the concept of another channel. It's the name of the project, but here on this channel, it's for you to have another way to follow Formula One. Tune in there on Band or F1 TV, wherever you subscribe, lower the volume, and listen to us. Let's watch the race together, growing the audience, reading your super chats, displaying questions on the screen, monitoring the race control radios, and bringing information to you. Deal? 15 minutes before the start, I'll see you here. We do the pre-race, watch the entire race, and after the checkered flag, we say goodbye and meet again at 6 o'clock for our post-race live, answering everything that happened, clearing doubts, and having the usual laughs. And this Sunday, there's a prize draw. 3 miniatures provided by Formula Collection, which haven't arrived yet, otherwise I would show them to you, should arrive by tomorrow. 3 books from Gulliver Publishing, 50 stories that we are negotiating for new prizes soon. They are raffled for those who support this channel. You can be a subscriber too. In addition, you get to see the videos in premiere, have priority response in the lives, support this initiative here, my full-time work, and exclusive dedication, and receive these benefits in return. Whenever I arrange a prize here, it's for you that I raffle it. This week, on Tuesday, we delved into the topic of V10 engines, looking at all aspects, pros, cons, and trying to understand the reasons of the manufacturers. Formula One, the FIA, and why not? Our own reasons for wanting or not wanting their return, the V10s. On Wednesday, the little big story of the 500 miles of Monza-Napolis. Yes, a 500-mile race took place on the Monza Oval. You know, there's an oval in Monza, right? Bringing together the Formula One crowd against the Indy crowd. It happened. And you have time to watch it while waiting for the car sessions on the track this weekend, both on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Deal? So, leave a like. It's free. It costs nothing. You know, it helps this channel a lot. Do me this favor. Do us this favor. It's no use having a guy here recording videos without the other side of the screen. You know, leaving a like, watching until the end, and commenting anything you want. A little emoji, the city where you're watching us from, or even better, which team do you think Verstappen will go to? If not, he stays with Red Bull. The comment section is yours. I always ask you to comment and leave a like because the algorithm likes this kind of thing. It keeps distributing our content across the internet. To not miss out on anything we do here, and we do a lot of things here, we have notification channels on Telegram, WhatsApp, and now also on Instagram, all of them with thousands of subscribers who receive the news, notifications of our new videos, and the weekend schedules to save and share with friends. Finally, but not least, our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok are showing the handles where there's content all the time. So that's it. The weekend is just beginning. There's a video on Thursday, a video on Friday, a video on Saturday, and 2 live streams on Sunday. You'll get tired of seeing me around here. I mean, hopefully not. Thanks then, and a big hug.